Hello there guys, welcome to another my live video. Just going to give you some news regarding Paul Pogba, and there's lots of other things to currently talk about. So Ole Gunnar Solsjaker has come out and confirmed the extent of Paul Pogba's ankle injury. Now reportedly he's expected to be out until December. Paul Pogba has missed eight of our, I think he's missed 8 of our last 10 games with this ongoing ankle injury that's been surrounding the player for a matter of weeks. Now obviously we do know how much imperative player that Paul Pogba is. We do know since he joined from Juventus back in 2016 that he has been mainly inconsistent for Manchester United in comparison to his time when he was at Juventus. We have seen glimpses of how good Paul Pogba can be. He hasn't really done good this season in the games he has been involved in. I think we mainly saw the best of Paul Pogba when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager, because he did really well, Paul Pogba, in that 3-month period. I still believe deep down that Paul Pogba wants out of Manchester United, like he did do for the entirety of the summer, because during the course of the summer he was relentlessly linked with move to Real Madrid, but I think his move to Real Madrid never materialised. It never materialised, I think, reflecting on the substantial amount we put on him, because we did quote out that we wanted around £180 million, and I obviously Real Madrid were unwilling to meet that. There's a possibility chance that Real Madrid could reignite their interest in January, but either way, even if Paul Pogba stays or goes anyway, we still do need to address that midfield, because I think I've got a lot of element of concerns about our midfield. Even though we have still got quite a lot of midfielders, I think we probably need 2 world-class central midfielders, because we are missing impetus. We are missing a creative impetus in that midfield, and it was a shame that we didn't address that midfield during the course of the summer. I do believe also Manchester United do need a striker. Obviously we need someone to come in that can assure us goals, and someone who can be more effective in the box, because obviously for the majority of this season we have been struggling to score goals. But yeah, so obviously there was a lot of speculation about Paul Pogba the other week. It was quite a few weeks ago now, saying that reportedly him and his agent Mini Raiola were demanding a substantial 600 grand a week from the football club if there was any possibility of Paul Pogba extending his contract with Manchester United. Now Paul Pogba's got 2 years left on his current contract with the club, with an option to extend it by a further year. And obviously at the moment he's on around 290 grand a week. So in that aspect at the moment anyway, Paul Pogba is one of the highest paid players in the football club. But I think we had negotiations anyway with Paul Pogba's agent Mini Raiola, regarding his future and over the possibility of extending his contract. But I still believe he probably end up will end up leaving Manchester United. He's still 26 years of age, and he has still got a lot of development in him, so you can quite frankly say he is still in his prime, but there was quite a few other teams in for him during the summer, but it was mainly Real Madrid that were in for him. But Paul Pogba did reveal during the summer that he actually wanted to leave Manchester United to seek a new challenge. If we were to sell him in January or next summer, obviously we would get a substantial amount for the player. But I still believe he does want out of Manchester United. There was obviously talks about him making a return back to Turin during the course of the summer. So yeah, so we're not expected to see Paul Pogba until December, according to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We have now got games coming up thick and fast. We've got Chelsea in the Carabao Cup this Wednesday. Then I think we go away to Bournemouth. So yeah, we've got games coming up thick and fast. And Paul Pogba's going to miss some very imperative games. But it's not only Paul Pogba that's out of injury. Obviously, we have still got quite a lot of injuries, and obviously reflecting on the injuries Manchester United have had this season anyway, we've had to make alterations in the squad. But I do credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because he has done really well in the last 3 games. I think he's tactically got it right. So we have showed some tactical flexibility, and we've done really well in the last 3 games. It was a really good win against Norwich yesterday. Winning by 3 goals to 1. So obviously with that win, it takes us now up to 7th. We're now on 13 points, so we've registered 13 from a possible 30, and we are sitting 7 points behind top 4, because obviously before going going into the game against Norwich. Obviously, we was sitting 15th in the league. But actually, it was a very, very good performance. Like I mentioned on my match reaction, I think it's the best performance I've seen from Manchester United this season. It is our third win of the season, that win against Norwich. It's actually our first away win in the Premier League, this season, and our first away win in the Premier League, since February. Because I did initially say anyway, our away form has got to improve. I'm surprised that Ole Gunnar Solsjaker, didn't stick with, the 3-5-2 formation, because obviously he went with the 3-5-2 in the 1-1 draw with Liverpool, and obviously, the game against Partizan Belgrade. But he actually, did revert back to the 4-2-3-1 formation, because we do know for the majority of this season that Solskjaer has been going with that 4-2-3-1, and we do know mainly, it hasn't been working out. And, for the majority of this season, a lot of Man United fans, including me, have obviously, been criticising his tactics, but I've got to be honest, he's got it right in the last 3 games. Like I mentioned, the goals were from Scott McTominay, where he obviously, he scored the first goal. And I think, McTominay, he's doing really, really well. Like I said, in regards to him being a long-term solution for Man United, I have got element of concerns about that. But, he's been a first-team regular this season. He has deserved to keep his place in the team as McTominay. But he took his goal, really, really well, like I said. But he is only 22 years of age. The second goal, obviously, was for Marcus Rashford. It's good now that Rashford has scored his 50th goal for the football club. I think he's not far away now from making 200 appearances in all competitions, since he broke into the senior squad back in 2016. And Rashford now, when he's on form, he can obviously have good opportunities. He can, get them runs in behind. Don't forget, he was injured earlier on in the season. But he has been mainly inconsistent this season as Marcus Rashford. But I still said, he's still the long-term solution for Man United. I think he's now 21 or 22 years of age. But I thought he was absolutely fantastic yesterday as Rashford. But I think he's done well in the last couple of games. Rashford should have had 2 goals. Martial should have had 2 goals, because Rashford and Martial, both missed a penalty each. Don't forget. Tim Krul had saved them both. But Martial's third goal was absolutely fantastic. The way he chipped the goalkeeper. Obviously Rashford had got the assist. And I think that's now Martial's 50. I think he's now scored 52 goals for Manchester United, since his arrival for Monaco in 2015. But now Martial is into his 5th season at Manchester United. But it's good now he's obviously back from injury, because like I mentioned, he had been a big miss. He has that inspiration, that attacking third of the pitch, and these elements of his game, that he has really, really improved on. Martial, he's got, he seems to have that finishing asset. He's getting, more of them runs in behind. So I thought he was very, very effective yesterday. Was Anthony Martial. Obviously, he was playing up top on his own. Like I said, he is more effective in that number 9 position. But yeah, it was a really, really good performance, and surprisingly, we had a total of 21 shots in the game. We registered 11 shots on target. But I think the performance against Norwich, was really, really good, and I thought it was, comparison, to Liverpool and Partizan Belgrade game, because I don't think the performance was too good against Liverpool or Partizan Belgrade, not to the extent of how we performed against Norwich yesterday. But the last 3 games have been really, really good results. But it was very, very important that Man United won the game anywhere, because I did say, prior to the Norwich game, that if we don't win this game, then I will totally, disregard the top 4. Then obviously it's still going to be difficult for us to get top 4, because like I mentioned, we are 7 points behind. But anything can happen. We are only early on in the season. We're in 10 games into the season. There's still another 28 games to go. But so maybe Solskjaer may now turn around his managerial tenure at Manchester United, because we do know since Solskjaer got the job permanently, everything's seemed to have all gone wrong. Obviously, don't forget, he is in a 3-year contract with Man United, and reflecting on the last 3 games, maybe some people, some Man United fans and that, have changed their perceptions regarding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and maybe they believe he can turn things around at the football club. Because don't forget, when we lost to West Ham early on in the season 2-0, when we lost to Newcastle 1-0 before the international break, obviously, there was the vast majority of Man United fans demanding him out of the football club. And don't get me wrong, there will be still certain Man United fans, I believe that, he still isn't the right man for Man United. he isn't a long-term future for Manchester United. But everyone, will have different perceptions on it. My perception is I still don't think he's the right man for Manchester United. There's some aspects of me that do credit Solskjaer. I've got some element of concerns about him, but he's totally blameless in the last 3 games. Solskjaer also came out and admitted, by the way, that he is hurt by our results this season. He also came out and admitted that the club's transition is hard, because where we are in transition at the moment. We could be in transition now for quite some time. But yeah, and Solskjaer's obviously got a lot of honesty about him, and that's something else I do like about him. But Solskjaer, has only been here 10 months. He's only been at the football club 10 months. He's been here just under a year, and you can probably say that Solskjaer's enjoyed a difficult 7.5 month tenure with Manchester United. But it's totally comparison, in this 7 months, what we saw when he was the interim manager, because he did really, really well whilst he was the interim manager. He won his first 8. He won 14 out of 19. Don't forget. In all competitions, he exceeded expectations. But, since he did get the job we're doing, obviously know that everything has just seemed to have all gone wrong. But I think us getting rid of Solskjaer now, or getting rid of him before Christmas, wouldn't solve a lot of problems at Manchester United. We do need to give him more time, to see who else, he can recommend into the football club, because obviously a massive rebuild is needed at Manchester United, and like I said, I think we need at least 5 to 6 more signings if we are to be back to being a competitive elite level football club. I think we are orchestrating on making probably around at least 4 new signings next year. But Solskjaer is already making plans for January, and I think he has been assured that he will be given money to spend in January. But yeah, and but analysing the majority of this Manchester United team anyway, it isn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, like I do keep mentioning. Obviously, the vast majority of this team is Jose Mourinho's, because taking into account Jose Mourinho recommended 11 players into the football club, and obviously, Solskjaer now... he's still inheriting the vast majority of them. So you can quite frankly say he's still in the process of rebuilding. But Solskjaer is obviously aware of the expectations he has to exceed at Manchester United. I said at the end of last season, like I said at the start of this season, that our expectations this season probably will be to get back in the top 4. So in that aspect, we can get back into the Champions League, because obviously I think that was one of the main factor reasons that went against us during the course of the summer. And I think when you're not in Champions League football, obviously it's going to be harder to attract players to the elite level. But we need to get into that top 4 this season. To be if I'm going to be quite honest here. But we did say at the end of last season, I also said at the start of this season that I said, we're not going to mount any kind of title challenge up this season. We're not going to win the league, because obviously analysing our current squad at the moment, it isn't good enough, to win the league. I do credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because, he did recommend 3 good players to the squad throughout the course of the summer. Obviously, we spent around nearly £150 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka and on Harry Maguire, and they've all enjoyed fantastic, starts to their Manchester United careers. They've all done really, really well. I think Daniel James has done well. Bissaka's done well. I think a lot of people believe that Wan-Bissaka has been our most consistent signing. And Harry Maguire, I'd say, has addressed our defensive deficiencies, and I do believe, we do look slightly better defensively. But we need to address more of the problematic areas in January and next summer, because there's still deficiencies in the squad that do need to be addressed. Without a shadow of a doubt, there's still deficiencies in the squad that do need to be addressed. But I do believe anyway, we'll look to probably sign 1 or 2 players in January. I think Solskjaer's keen on signing 2 forwards in January, but I do actually believe we'll do the vast majority of our transfer business next summer. But definitely, like I mentioned, the next couple of windows or so, our recruitment has got to improve, because I think our recruitment has been very, very poor now for several years. So I will take that into account, and obviously the depth in our squad isn't good enough as yet. But and this is why I said mainly due to our inconsistency for the vast majority of this season so far. I said the vast majority of the blame does stem from the board, and I think maybe we need to get this current board out, and we need to recommend a new board in, because the board have been a liability for several years. The board for me do need to assure structural changes at the football club, and whether they can do this or not, I do not know. But I think everyone needs to take the blame. Obviously, reflecting on our bad results for the majority of this season so far, Solsjaker is definitely accountable for that. I think a lot of the blame stems from Ed Woodward, because he's also been a liability for several years. And I think a lot of the players are to blame. They do need to step up to the plate, but in the last couple of games, certain players have really stepped up to the plate. So I am, very, very impressed. But it's a long rebuilding process, like I mentioned, and I don't think we'll win the league for at least the next 2 to 3 years. Maybe even longer. But yeah, I think definitely our squad is good enough, for a top 4 finish. But yeah, I want Solskjaer, to succeed at Manchester United. My element of concerns I've got about him that, he hasn't really got any intuition on how to manage a big football club like Manchester United, in my opinion. Solskjaer obviously, obviously disagrees with that, because, he insists he's the right manager to elevate Manchester United forward. Ed Woodward came out the other week saying that, he insists he's 100% backing Solskjaer. But yeah, he hasn't really got that experience, as a manager, not really to the highest level before. Obviously, before he came to Man United, he won a couple of Norwegian titles with Mould. Obviously, before he was at Mould, he was at Cardiff, and he actually began his managerial career with Cardiff. He only had a really short tenure with Cardiff. He only managed around 29 or 30 games. He actually, got sacked from Cardiff because he ended up, getting them relegated. And there was some Man United fans a couple of weeks back, saying that if we was to stick with Solskjaer until the end of the season, he could replicate at Man United, what he actually did with Cardiff. But like I mentioned, I don't think the football club will go down. Too much money into the club, and that. And we haven't been relegated since 1974, which is around 40 odd years ago now. But we need Champions League football. That's very, very essential. And reflecting on the size and the potential of this club, we actually should be in Champions League football. I think we've only failed to secure European football once overall since 1990. Since 1990, so that's nearly 3 decades ago now. I think it was the actual time under David Moyes where he failed to secure European football. So hopefully now, things can turn around at Manchester United. But I have been very, very impressed lately. It's also good as well that, Solskjaer has got a lot of, trust with him and his young players. A lot of the young upcoming players, the vast majority of them, should I say, have played this season. I think now, obviously, you got a lot of Man United fans, probably including me, before the Norwich game, demanding, Brandon Williams, to start, because he didn't play, but, I thought Brandon Williams was really, really good against Partizan Belgrade. Really, really good he did. I think that's his second appearance for the club. We played him at left wing back. He recently signed a new contract, but he is only 19 years of age. And there's obviously now, a lot of Man United fans thinking that Brandon Williams is a better solution than Luke Shaw. But he was man of the match against Partizan Belgrade. He was fantastic. He showed good attacking intent. Defensively he was good as well. He was good. And I thought James Garner, he did really, really well against Partizan Belgrade. Obviously, he's another one of the young upcoming players. James Garner, he actually made his full debut for the football club against Partizan Belgrade. And that was only his second appearance for Man United. That was his first appearance he made since the 3-1 win against Crystal Palace last season. I think they can both of them can earn. They can earn, more first-team promotions without a shadow of a doubt. And I've got some element of concerns about, certain young players, like I mentioned. I've got element of concerns about Chong. I think he's totally comparison to the likes of Greenwood, Tuanzebe and Brandon Williams, and that. I think we need to consider loaning quite a few of the young upcoming players out, maybe because they're not good enough to represent Man United, or they're not getting enough opportunities, or it'd be more beneficial for their career, if we loan them out. So maybe we should perhaps do that. But I can definitely assure that Greenwood will become a success at the football club. He came on as a substitute yesterday, by the way, against Norwich. I think that's now his 6th or 7th appearance from the bench, for Man United this season in the league. He's actually not yet started a game from the start in the Premier League this season, but I can definitely assure that Greenwood will become a success at the club, and by the time he's 23, 24, I think, he will be world-class centre forward for Manchester United. And don't forget, he turned only just 18 years of age at the beginning of this month. But yeah, I think he will. Tuan Zebe, I think he'll also become a success because I think in the games he's played in this season, he's also done really, really well as Tuan Zebe. Done really, really well. As you all know, he's out with a hip injury at the moment. I don't actually know how severe the injury is that Alex Tuanzebe has got. I think it's actually unknown when he will be back. But he was actually named in the starting 11 against Liverpool. But obviously now, during the warm up, he actually sustained his hip injury. So obviously Marcus Rojo had taken his place in the team. But, we've still got other injuries, like I mentioned now. Diego Dalot's still out with injury. I think it's unknown when Diego Dalot will be back. Like I mentioned, I would give Diego Dalot more time at the football club. He's only been here since last summer. I think he's out with leg injury, if I'm right. But he's one of our backup options in that right-back position. It's unknown when he will be back, like I said. Matic, he's obviously out with a minor problem. He's obviously been out for quite some time now. He's been out recently, should I say, as Matic. He has played in quite a few games this season, but he has actually literally lost his place in the team as Matic, is no longer first choice. I think mainly due to his inconsistency. But yeah, I think he's one of the players that Man United, do need to move on in January or next summer. He's 31. He isn't getting any younger. And I think, during his 2-year tenure with Man United, he's been mainly inconsistent because now he's into his 3rd season as a Manchester United player. But I've got a lot of element of concerns about him. Luke Shaw, hamstring injury. I think he should be now close anywhere to regaining full fitness, should Luke Shaw. He has been out since the 2-1 home defeat to Crystal Palace earlier on in the season. Like I mentioned earlier on in the video, Brandon Williams now, could be the first choice. But Luke Shaw, analyse his career with Man United, I think he's been mainly consistent. I know he's sustained quite a lot of injuries, and a lot of people talk about him being injury prone. Not to the same extent as Eric Bailly, because Eric Bailly sustained quite a lot more injuries. But prior to Luke Shaw's injuries and his bad spell he had under Mourinho, I think he's had a pretty decent career with Manchester United, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. Take into account as well, he won the double player of the season last season, reflecting on his impressive performances. We know that Eric Bailly and Fossil Mensah were still both out of injury. Eric Bailly's out until the end of the year with a knee injury. Fossil Mensah has been out of injury now for quite some time. Jesse Lingard's just recently recovered from injury. I think, he's one of the players that does need to step up to the plate, because I think, he's actually, been inconsistent this season, and like I mentioned, reflecting on his status at the football club, he should be putting much more better performances out. Yeah, so we have still got quite a lot of injuries. We have still got quite a lot of injuries. But yeah. But yeah, maybe we should, give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer more time and that, and but yeah, and I credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well, because he was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance, and he has actually got that proven pedigree as a player, but he just hasn't really got it as a manager. Yeah, so. We have enjoyed our start to our Premier League season for 3 decades. We are more aware of that. But the good news is now, I think, things are looking likely. things are going to obviously turn around at Man United. And regarding Norwich result, I'm not going to get overconfident, because obviously Norwich had a very, very poor team anyway. I do believe probably they'll be fighting a relegation this season. But it was a good away win. Very, very good team performance from Man United. I thought the personnel was right, like I mentioned. The formation was right. But I was surprised, like I said early on in the video, that I reverted back to the 4-2-3-1. I thought I would have stuck with 3 at the back. He could go with 3 at the back, against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup. He'll obviously, make alterations in the squad for the game in the Carabao Cup against Chelsea. Yeah. But obviously we are aware, that we're, never going to be the team that we was under Alex Ferguson. What we saw, like I said, regardless of who our manager is, they can't invoke Ferguson's legacy. Solsjaker definitely can't invoke Ferguson's legacy to save Man United, even though Ferguson did transform him into a winner. But like I mentioned, not every manager, settles in straight away. Some managers do need time. And, reflecting back under the Ferguson era, when we recommended him in from Aberdeen back in, 1984, he didn't win out in his first 4 years at the football club. And he was actually 1 game away from getting the sack. But he didn't, and then look what he went and accomplished. 20-odd years of success under him. Developed a lot of young players, controlled a lot of the transfer policies, controlled a lot of the contracts. And and the fear factor was there, and it was just really, really good. And we won 38 trophies under Alex Ferguson's under the Alex Ferguson era. So won the vast majority of our two were obviously now under him. Yeah, and I said, and now I'm hopeful that this team, this day and age, can replicate what the team did under Ferguson. There's actually still a couple of players here from the Ferguson era. There's still Jones here, Young here, De Gea's still here. Yeah. But we'll never be the team that was under Ferguson. But I think things could still possibly turn around at Manchester United. But like I mentioned, Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era. We haven't really got the structure to keep sacking managers, even though 3 have been sacked already since the Ferguson era. Obviously Moyes went after 10 months. He had a really short tenure. Yeah, he's actually the manager that's had the shortest tenure with the club since the Ferguson era. Louis van Gaal, he lasted just a year and a half. I think it was around that anyway. He got sacked even though he won the FA Cup. And then Jose Mourinho came in, and obviously, he lasted he had a 2.5-year tenure, spent a substantial amount at the football club. But I already give you the reasons why it didn't work out under Jose Mourinho, is because obviously he had bad disputes with the board and bad disputes with the top players. The board weren't backing the signings that I wanted to recommend into the football club last summer. But Mourinho did win the Europa League and the League Cup in his first season. But yeah, and I think, Man United have, made several mistakes, in the last 6 or 7 years. One of the mistakes Ferguson made, well, it was the only mistake Ferguson made, was recommending David Moyes in. I think maybe at that time he actually should have, you could arguably say he should have recommended Mourinho in, maybe. And I think, there's certain players we've got rid of over the years, that arguably, Man United, shouldn't have got rid of. Prime example, I think it was a mistake from Man United, getting rid of Ander Herrera, during the course of the summer. And you could arguably say that Ander Herrera, was one of our best players since the Ferguson era. I thought Herrera, had 3.5, 4 good years out of the 5 years he was at Man United, but it infuriated me more that we let him go. We let his contract run down, and we let him go on a free transfer. So it was a mistake from us, getting rid of Ander Herrera. It was also a mistake from us, giving Solskjaer the job, because I don't think we should have ever given him the job. We should have waited until the end of last season, or we should have waited at some point until this season to make a decision that, not to give Solskjaer the job. And I do feel sorry for him in a way, because I think the club have put him in a very, very difficult position. I know I recently said that I think their expectations are too high for him, but I may be proven wrong, and I'm hoping I am proved wrong. I hope I really, really am, proved wrong. But, I think the lowest we finished in the last 6, 7 years, I think, was actually under the David Moyes era, because I think we finished 7th that particular season, or was it 6th? We did actually finish 6th last season. It was really, really bad last season, because we finished around 32 points behind Man City last season. But, if we can start being now more clinical in front of goal, we can, start scoring more goals and that, and, we can start creating more chances, I will be impressed. And we've proven that against Norwich. We did create chances, we did score, 3 good goals. Should have been 5, really, because, we had 2 penalties there that were missed. But for the majority of this season, as you all know, we haven't seemed to have that clinical element. We haven't really, been ruthless enough in front of goal. And that replicates last season, because that's what we did last season. Actually, last season, though, we did create chances, but we just didn't manage to score enough goals. But there has been games this season, quite a lot, actually, where we actually haven't really created many chances. Obviously, in the game against Alkmaar, we didn't register a single shot on target. The win against Partizan Belgrade, the only shot we had on target was the actual Anthony Martial goal. Yeah, and that's very, very important. You do need to create chances, to obviously, score goals. But, like I mentioned anyway, a lot of money has been spent at Manchester United over the years. Nearly £150 million under Solsjaker, just under 400 million, or was it 400 million under Mourinho, 200 odd million under Van Gaal, around 67 million under David Moyes. So it's around £800 million, something like that, that we spent on players, and that's just under £1 billion, and that's not taking into account what was spent under the Alex Ferguson era. We've also got players on big contracts at the football club. I'll also mention that. But we can obviously afford to do this, because we're a rich club. We've got massive revenues. Don't forget. We're one of the biggest clubs in the world. I know people talk about us being millions of pounds in debt. I know we've overpaid for players. And we've done it in recent years. I will agree on the aspect that I think we overpaid for Fred. But Fred, I think Solskjaer's praised Fred, and Fred, could emulate into a world-class player for Manchester United if he's given more time. Because I know a lot of people believe he's not good enough to represent Man United, or maybe he's not the long-term solution for Man United. But to be fair, he has stood his ground well, and he has done well in certain games. And under the Jose Mourinho era, Fred never really got the chance. So he never really got the opportunity. He hasn't performed to the standards as we should expect from him. He hasn't performed to how he did do at Shakhtar Donetsk, because he was actually an exceptional player at Shakhtar Donetsk, was Fred. But yeah, and I think we overpaid for Harry Maguire. But despite the fact that we overpaid for him, like I mentioned, he's enjoyed a great start to his Manchester United career. I think at the time, we overpaid for Lukaku from Everton. When we paid £75 million for him, despite the fact he obviously had a good goal scoring pedigree in the Premier League. We still overpaid for him basically. But it didn't matter, because obviously, I was happy what we generated from Lukaku's departure when we let him go to Inter Milan in the summer, because we more or less recoup the money that we did pay for him from Everton a couple of years ago. And I do believe now anyway that Lukaku is doing well with Inter Milan. Some Man United fans may pinpoint out that was also another mistake from the football club, letting him go. He had to go anywhere, because obviously Lukaku initially lost his place in the team. Lukaku enjoyed 2 seasons at Man United. He enjoyed an exceptional first season, but didn't really replicate that in his second season. A lot of people obviously had element of concerns about him, obviously regarding his first touch, because his first touch was bad. He's not a player that can, get enough of them runs in behind, too slow. But obviously he can score goals, can Romelu Lukaku. But yeah, we definitely have overpaid for players. You can arguably say we overpaid for Pogba, not reflecting on what he did at Juventus, but obviously, the way he's performed at Man United, mainly since he rejoined, you can say obviously now we did overpay for him. Like I said, a lot of money has been invested into the football club. And I said always spending big on players anyway, and getting them Glasgow players doesn't always guarantee you success. So that maybe this is why I did say at the start of the summer that we should orchestrate on being sensible with our recruitment. Despite the fact a lot of players anywhere have left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, I still believe there is more problematic players at the football club that do need to be moved on in January or next summer. So I'm glad we did get rid of a lot of the deadwood during the summer, and that I think around 7 outfield players left Man United. Valencia left at the end of last season after he served 10 years with Man United. He was a long-serving player for the football club. Obviously you saw Chris Smalling going out on loan to Roma for just under £3 million. You know, shame we didn't get rid of him permanently. Smalling was a long servant at the club though. He served 9 seasons at Manchester United. Well, I think he was there about 9 years, so he was actually nearly at the club a decade, was Smalling. But even though he's gone, we've still got six centre-backs in the team. You know, obviously saw Matteo Darmian leaving for just over £1 million. It was no surprise that Darmian left, like I mentioned. Obviously, it was odds on he was going to leave. I was just actually, you know, surprised with how much we let him go for, because we let him go for next to nothing. You know, we actually paid around 12.7 million for him from Torino back in 2015. This was under the Louis van Gaal era, and then we let him go for next to nothing basically in the summer. But, you know, if we'd have got rid of Darmian a year or two ago, we could have at least recouped the money that we did pay for him, or maybe, you know, even gained a bit of a profit. Like I said, Herrera and Fellaini, they were 2 long servants. Herrera served 5 years at Man U. Fellaini served 6 years at Man U. Fellaini went to China in January. Again, we overpaid for him. There's another prime example. We paid for him. Overpaid for him. You know, obviously we paid just over £27 million for him under the David Moyes era. And Lukaku and Sanchez left. And now I said we look at exposing that attacking line, you know, following the departures of Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez. We did right getting rid of Sanchez, despite the fact that he's on loan with Inter Milan. Man United are still paying the vast majority of his wages. I still believe we're paying Sanchez around 300 grand a week, is it? But when he actually was at Man United, we was giving him 400 grand a week. But with the bonus rights and the images, he actually risen up to 500 grand a week. But the only way we would have got rid of Sanchez anyway was putting him on loan, which we have done. I think it's a 10-month loan. He has obviously got over into Milan. He's obviously reunited with Romelu Lukaku. He's probably, you know, performing well for Milan is Sanchez. I haven't really watched him since he's gone to Inter Milan. But Sanchez did enjoy a difficult 18 months with Manchester United. You know, he lacks consistency, lacks goals, and sustained a lot of injuries at Manchester United. But even if he had stayed anywhere, he only would have been in short games in the Europa League. He wouldn't really got them opportunities in the league. But yeah, and obviously, you know, 2 goalkeepers got loaned out. You know, Dean Henson went on loan to Sheffield, don't forget. I think that's beneficial because it'll gain him more experience. And, you know, Joe Prayer went out on loan to Hearts. So, the keepers we've got at the moment, obviously David De Gea is our first choice. We've got Romero, who's our second choice goalkeeper. Obviously, he plays like in, you know, the Europa League and the Cup games. And we've obviously got Lee Grant. Don't forget Lee Grant is not injured now, was injured earlier on in the season. I think he was injured throughout pre-season as well. I can't recall him playing a game yet for Man United. You know, Lee Grant, we did get him from Stoke last summer. Get him from Stoke last summer and that. But yeah, so like I mentioned on my recent videos, you know, I give you some updates regarding some transfer news and that, and you know, I think we could look to sign a couple of players in January, like I mentioned. Solskjaer's transfer policy was, as you all know, in the summer was you know, recruit young British players and that. But yeah, he's still keen on recommending, you know, some more youngsters into the squad and that. You know, we've got a lot of youngsters in the squad now, like I mentioned, as it stands. You know, we've also got a lot of experienced players. But I think we're keen on adding experience in our attacking line. But like I mentioned, it's looking very, very probable anywhere that Mandzukic is coming to Manchester United in January. It's not 100% assured, but it's looking very, very likely it's going to happen because we know reports the other week said that Mario Mandzukic just slashed his wage demands in half from 300 grand a week to 150 grand a week in order to make the move to Manchester United. So his current wages were 300 grand a week, which is obviously, you know, a substantial amount. Juventus, I think, have actually, you know, confirmed his exit in January. Mario Mandzukic has obviously, you know, he's serviced the requirements of Juventus because he's lost his place in the team, because since the recommendation of Maurizio Sarri in the summer and that, and he hasn't even played a single minute under Maurizio Sarri's guidance as Mario Mandzukic. Don't forget, you know, we went in for him towards the back end of the window. went in for him towards the back end of the summer transfer window. You know, I think he's had a really, really good career. You know, my only element of concern I've got about, as you know, recommended, you know, Mario Mandzukic is regarding his age, because he's now 33 years of age. You know, don't know when he's 34, not too sure, but I know he's 33 now. But he's done well with Juventus mainly. You know, he's now into his 5th season at Juventus. He scored 44 goals in 162 games in all competitions. He is still under contract with Juventus until 2021. But he's a cheap solution. You know, Man United will only have to pay around 9 or 10 million pounds for him. But the good thing is he can show the likes of Daniel James, Martial and Rashford how to be more effective in the box. So it's looking like he's going to be our first signing in the January transfer window. It's only a couple of months now until, you know, the transfer window, you know, opens. And obviously overall it will be our 4th signing under the Ole Gunnar Solsjaker era. But we know it was a shame that we didn't address all the problematic areas during the summer. But I did say that was obviously, you know, going to be extremely difficult to do. But yeah, it's looking like Mandzukic is going to be Manchester United's next signing. Obviously, we know there's been other talks of other, you know, forwards possibly coming in. Solskjaer obviously once the transfer of Mandzukic is complete, he wants to recommend another forward in. So obviously, Moussa Dembele has been on our agenda. There's obviously been talks about Callum Wilson. You know, I think they would be the right calibre players for Manchester United. Don't get me wrong, we'd probably have to pay a substantial amount to get. We'd have to pay a substantial amount, you know, to get, you know, Moussa Dembele in. And that, I still believe Jadon Sancho is obviously, you know, on our agenda. I know there's been recent reports saying that, you know, he could actually, you know, go to Liverpool, could Jadon Sancho, because Liverpool have been interested in the player. I don't really see how he would fit Liverpool's system, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. I think he would fit our system better than he would if he went to Liverpool, you know, with Jadon Sancho. Don't forget we was in for Jadon Sancho during the summer. We also identified him as our #1 priority target back in January. But obviously our move got screw-upped for Jadon Sancho with our failure to qualify for the Champions League. Don't get me wrong, if Jadon Sancho came into Man United, you know, in January or next summer, you know, I would be excited about the prospect of him playing alongside the likes of Dan James, Martial and Rashford, because I think they'd all complement each other fantastically well. You know, Jadon Sancho is predominantly a right winger, but you can also play him centrally. I don't think we really need a right winger that much. Some people maybe say we do. But, you know, to be quite honest with you, you know, it's not... Maybe we do, I don't know. But actually in the summer we was in search for a right winger, you know... But I'd love Jadon Sancho at the football club anyway. You know, he's only very, very young. He's, 19 years of age. Obviously, you know, he's been at Borussia Dortmund 2 years. He's now into his 3rd season at Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund basically got him for next to nothing. You know, they only paid around, was it £7 or £8 million for him from City. But obviously, during his time so far at Borussia Dortmund and reflecting on his impressive performances, his obviously valuation has persistently grown. Obviously, you know, he's going to cost in the excess of around probably £100 million, so he's obviously going to cost double figures, but we've got the financial power to meet that valuation. But he's under contract with Borussia Dortmund, I think, until 2022. But, you know, the most beneficial thing is as well that he's played in the Premier League, because he served a couple of years with Man City. So he's played in Manchester, but he obviously never got assured first team opportunities at Man City. So this is the main factor reason why he left City to join Borussia Dortmund. But I think he's unsure, you know, about his future, his Jadon Sancho. Like I updated you quite recently as well regarding, you know, Kai Havertz and Thomas Muller. They're 2 Bundesliga stars on our current agenda. And I was reading reports the other day, and they said, you know, Man United are... you know, orchestrating on spending up to £125 million on, you know, both players. Reportedly by Leverkusen, demanding that they want around £85 million for Kai Havertz, and probably, you know, Thomas Muller, you know, would cost around £30 or £40 million. So obviously Thomas Muller, you know, is a cheaper solution. I don't see us getting either of them players from my own perception. Like I mentioned with Kai Havertz, he's done really, really well with Bayer Leverkusen so far. He's actually still only 20 years of age. he would fit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's transfer strategy perfectly, regarding bringing young players in. He is actually a midfielder. I think he's predominantly an attacking midfielder, but he is a two-footed midfielder. So he's obviously, good with both feet. He's still under contract with Leverkusen until 2022. He's been at Leverkusen now a lot of years. He's been in their senior squad since 2016. He obviously joined their youth academy in 2010 and was in their youth academy for around 6 or 7 years. But in total, he's made 117 appearances for Bayer Leverkusen. I think managed around 31 goals in all competitions since he broke into the senior squad. But do you think he would be the right caliber player for Man United? And Thomas Muller, like I said, my element of concern about recommending him in is regarding his age, because Thomas Muller is now 30 years of age. Obviously, he's actually spent the entirety of his career with Bayern Munich. Obviously, he's been at Bayern Munich now nearly 2 decades, because he's been at Bayern Munich overall since 2000. He joined their youth academy. Obviously, he was in their youth academy for around 8 years, and obviously made his senior debut in 2008. But since his senior debut, he has gone on to make just under 500 appearances for Bayern Munich in all competitions. Obviously, 300 of them have come in the 300 odd of them have come in the Bundesliga. He scored 186 goals in all competitions and registered around 171 assists. Also, he is a good player. He can create chances, he can score goals, he can provide. His tenacity is very, very good. He's also very, very good in the air, and his versatility is good. I think he's predominantly a forward, but you can also play him as a midfielder. You can play as an attacking midfielder, centre forward, second striker. Can play him on either wing. So his versatility is absolutely fantastic. Is Thomas Muller's. He's still under contract with Munich until 2021. But he serves two requirements at Bayern Munich, because he doesn't get selected now not often anywhere. So I believe he could leave Bayern Munich. But we was in for Muller back in 2014 under the David Moyes era. But obviously we never got him. So there are another 2 players on our current agenda. Obviously we do know there's been recent talks about James Maddison. He's obviously another player on our agenda, and I think again, he would be the right caliber player for Manchester United. James Maddison, he's predominantly an attacking midfielder. You can play him on the left, James Maddison, because actually Brendan Rodgers has played him on the left quite a few times, but he is predominantly an attacking midfielder. If we were to go in for him in January or next summer, he cost the club a substantial amount. We'd probably have to pay around 60 or 70 million pounds for his services. So Leicester, wouldn't want to lose him. They wouldn't want to lose him, because obviously we did business with Leicester in the summer, because obviously we got the pursuit of Harry Maguire, who we paid 80 million pounds for. And Leicester have lost quite a few of their imperative players in recent years. But he's a good player, James Maddison. Like I mentioned, he can create chances, he can score goals, just like he's done with Leicester. And he did the same last season, because last season he created more chances in the Premier League than any other Premier League player. And he's still got 4 years left on his current contract with Leicester. There has been talks that he could possibly, sign a new contract with Leicester. But Maddison, again, he's only 22 years of age. So yeah, it's good that we are making plans for January. Chelsea Manchester United preview for the Carabao Cup will be coming up probably. It will be actually maybe tonight. That way will be coming up. I do presume as well. Solsjaker will be doing a press conference. But the main part of this video is I just wanted to let you guys know that Paul Pogba is out until December. He's not expected back till December, and Solskjaer's confirmed the extent of his ankle injury. So yeah, he's going to be a big miss. Is Pogba, But so hopefully now we can, keep winning games, like I said, and I did say, since the Liverpool game, it seems that, but the momentum's now built back into the team, built back into the team. It looks like now the confidence now is back into the players. But recently we have been, building momentum on the players. Momentum's built onto the players, and the confidence seems back into the team all of a sudden, because we didn't see any of that, earlier on in the season. But I won't get carried away. We've got to, keep these good runner performances up now. So we will see what happens. Chelsea's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a really, really tough game, and Chelsea themselves have been building momentum up in the last 6 or 7 games or so. Chelsea did actually enjoy a bad start to the season. But it will be a tough game, and you know that our record at Stamford Bridge is very, very bad. We haven't won there in the league since 2012. We did beat them at Stamford Bridge last season in the FA Cup by 2 goals to 0. Very, very, that was a good result for Man United. We thrashed them early on this season 4-0. It was actually Chelsea in that particular game that played the expansive football, but we still managed to win the game 4-0. Chelsea themselves have also got injuries. Maybe to the same extent as Man United's injuries. Chelsea have got quite a few injuries. Like I mentioned, they've got Andreas Christensen out with injury. They've got Ruben Loftus-Cheek out with injury. They've got Barkley out, Mangolio Kante, Rudiger. So they have got quite a few injuries themselves. But Chelsea have obviously had problems. They've got a transfer ban, so they can't do transfer activity till next summer. They lost the best player in the summer. Eden Hazard, who obviously served 7 years as a Chelsea player. But it's always a very, very good game, Chelsea and Man United. It's always a very, very good game, It's Chelsea and Man United. I think the most iconic match between Man United and Chelsea, obviously, was in 2008 Champions League final when John Terry missed that penalty. But that was also a good game as well in the Carling Cup. I think it was named the Carling Cup back then. It might have been back in 2012 when Chelsea did beat us, I think, by 5 goals to 4 after extra time. So that was also another good game. Yeah, and I think it is actually Bournemouth at the weekend. I'll check it up. I'm pretty sure it is Bournemouth at the weekend at the Vitality Stadium. But yeah, we need to see more players come back from injury, like I said. So we won't be seeing Paul Pogba in action until December. Anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.